If somebody describes something as fun or humorous or funny, I run in the other direction. It is the day of the Buffy candle launch. Is this hanging off as much as I feel like it is? I am so invested in this now. Good morning, welcome to the final weekly reading vlog for Magical Readathon and Realmathon. I have a 24-hour readathon this week that I'm hoping to smash through some pages in. My eyeliner is going terribly wrong. I'm about to take Brie out to the vets. But yeah, hopefully we will have a productive reading week. My eyeliner just did not go well then, but I am kind of in a rush now because it's almost 8:45, so I've got to get going to the vets. Their appointment's at 9. But I just wanted to crack this vlog off while I was here and tell you that I'm 248 pages into The Longing of Lone Wolves by Lana Paherchik. Lana Paherchik, I think is how you say it. And this one is like a paranormal romance kind of situation. It also has some high fantasy elements and some post-apocalyptic elements. So we're following our main character who's from present day, kind of giving like Outlander, Witcher and the Cardray from Throne of Glass in terms of vibe. But she's from the present day and nuclear war has happened. And there are flashbacks that kind of go into that and how like the world ended, I guess. But she wakes up kind of like 2,000 years in the future and finds out that the world has been taken over by Fae. So like their human DNA was spliced with animal DNA to create kind of like the Fae and the shifters. And she wakes up in this world not having a clue what's going on. And our male love interest in here is a guy who's guardian, so he protects people from like magical bad stuff, and he has been cursed because of something that happened in his past where he can't access mana anymore and he can't be seen by anyone, and anyone who has any encounter with him kind of forgets about it. So he is on like a limited stretch of mana, and when that runs out he's gonna die, and the only way that his curse can be broken is if he meets his well-blessed mate, which couldn't possibly be our main character because she's a human and humans are scum of the earth in this world. So like I'm enjoying it fine so far. I went into it with very low expectations, so I'm enjoying it more than I thought I would just based on that, because I really thought I wasn't gonna like this. But it's just kind of fine. The writing isn't great. It has a lot of like plot conveniences, like lazy plot development as well. Things just kind of popping up out of nowhere instead of being more organically woven into the plot. But it's a quick, easy read and I'm having an okay time with it. So this for Magical Readathon fulfills the shapeshifting prompt for me, which is to read a book with either a wolf on the cover in the title or in the author's name. And of course this will get me a minimum actually of 50 points for Enya, which is cool. Actually, oh no it won't, because it's 2 pages shy of 400. Unless I read the acknowledgements. That would make it exactly 400 pages, so I'm gonna do that. But yeah, I need to go because Brie's vet appointment is in 14 minutes. It's only across the road, so it's not like a super big deal. But I will talk to you guys later.
I still need to recover from another lover. Would you be here for me? Never met your parents, not even your mother, but let's see where this leads. What should we do tonight? What if this breaks your little heart in mine? What should we do tonight? Let's just find out. Pretty blue jeans and me, running through evergreen. Pretty blue jeans and me, yeah, she's what I need. I still need to recover from another lover. You're my
So I am spending the majority of my day doing public reading sprints for Realmathon, and I'm hoping to get quite a bit read. I've pretty much taken a break from reading since like the first or second sprint though, because I finished The Longing of Lone Wolves really quickly. Surprisingly, or not surprisingly, it was a surprise to me, this isn't as long as I thought it was, because the last 30-40 pages of this book is actually the first few chapters of the sequel, which is The Solace of Sharp Claws. So it's actually only 371 pages. So I finished it kind of abruptly. I didn't love it. It was going to be a 3, it ended up being a 2-star. It was going to be a 3-star for me, but the last 80 pages contained one of my like least favorite romance tropes. There's a lot of people's least favorite romance tropes, and like with everything else in here, it was kind of just introduced in a way that like was just eye-rolly essentially. I feel like the premise of this book is really strong, and something that I really enjoyed in here with the sci-fi kind of aspect we have in the creation of the Fae race and the post-apocalyptic present day start. We also have the time travel, the way that the future is kind of historical and high fantasy with the Fae race taking over the land and like going back to nature, and then also the way that the post-apocalyptic start and the sci-fi elements affect the main plot. I loved all of that. But the romance in itself, which is a big focus of this book, is very basic paranormal, and we all know like I'm not the biggest paranormal fan to start off with, so not the best. But to be fair, it's not like I hated this book or anything. There are things that I liked about it. I went into this with very low expectations, knowing that it was paranormal, and especially because it's wolves, because I think wolves are they're creepy. They're too touchy-feely. They're a bit creepy. I'm not the biggest wolf girly, so I went into this with very low expectations, and it kind of fell in line with those expectations, but because I wasn't expecting a great deal of it, my overall like outlook on it, I guess, is kind of positive. But while a lot of my patrons really love this, I was dubious because some of the things that they said about it include it being really fun, really fast-paced, and I don't like fun or fast-paced things. But thank you very much to Ash for gifting this one to me. I do have a couple more books in this series. I am going to continue with book 2 because I'm willing, with all series, generally I give book 1 the benefit of the doubt, and I'm also interested in that overarching plot, so I'm willing to kind of go a little bit further into this series to see if that develops enough for me to stay here for the plot. I don't feel like it's the kind of series where I'm going to stick around for the plot, but I'll give it a go. Otherwise, if I could only judge it, if I was only judging it off this one book and I wasn't prepared to continue, I feel like my overall kind of thoughts on it would be, I love this premise and I feel like there's so much you can do with this premise. I just don't feel like Lana Paherchik is the author to carry out this premise to its full potential, unfortunately. Obviously, like I said, that's not taking into account the rest of the books in the series, just if I was judging it from this one book. Love the premise. Execution a little bit lacking. So this one fulfilled the shapeshifting prompt for Magical Readathon, and it got me 62 points for Realmathon because it didn't go over that 400 page mark. Otherwise it would have been 72, but 62 is still great. And I took those points for Enya as well instead of attacking a different team. So I do still have one class I need for my career for Magical Readathon, which is Elemental Studies, but I do have a manga that will fulfill that prompt if I'm running out of time at the end of the week. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start something that I really ideally need to have finished by the end of this month, and if I am pushed for time, I'll read that manga. If not, I'll pick up something else after I finish this one. But I desperately need to make a start on Before They Are Hanged by Joe Abercrombie for Catch Up Book Club, because the live show for this is going to fall a little bit earlier in the month than it normally does. It's scheduled for the 7th of May on Ashley's channel, and my birthday, I've mentioned this in the last vlog, my birthday, and it feels like I'm just going on about it, but like, because my birthday is on the 5th and the live show is on the 7th, I don't think I'm going to be doing any reading on the 4th, 5th or 6th or the morning of the 7th, and the live show is on the night of the 7th, so ideally this will be done by the end of this month, by the end of this week. I'm very excited to be continuing on with this series as well, because this is a 5-star prediction for me, and that makes me a little bit worried because so far this month I've had 3 2-star reads, and I don't think I've ever had that many 2-star reads in a month, and then I've also had 2 3-stars. So throwing it back to last week, the problem could be me, and that's why I'm a little bit scared of my 5-star predictions right now, but I'm hoping that this is gonna finish the month on a high for me so that it's not all doom and gloom. But this is a adult grimdark fantasy. It's a sequel to The Blade itself. I don't know the full scope of the plot yet, but we have 3 main characters, one of which is a barbarian from the north. We have one who is an inquisitor, which is essentially like a torturer for the government, and one who is a fencing champion and like a member of the nobility. Now I thought that this was going to be kind of like a Band of Unlikely Heroes story, and while it may turn into that, it's not that at the minute. Like, they all operate in very different circles, and while their paths do cross, the first book is mainly about establishing them as characters and learning a lot about the world and the politics before eventually getting to a point where I guess they there is potential for them to be in a little bit of closer proximity than they have been. The plot of this, because of how much setup was in the first book, is unclear right now, but if I had to guess, I would say that war is going to play, well, war is definitely going to play a big part in this, but I feel like the country that we mainly focus on is the Union, and this was also very much, like, you can tell it was inspired by Game of Thrones, so we have kind of like an equivalent of Mance Rayder uniting like the forces of the North. So I feel like part of this plot, a big part of this plot, is going to focus on the war between the Union and the North, and we also have some tension potentially brewing in the South as well. Something that I think is also going to play a big part in the plot of this is that magic is dying, which is established very early on in the first book. So I feel like part of the plot is going to be bringing magic back to the forefront of the world. It's that kind of setting where like the general people of the world don't think that magic and magical creatures exist because it's been so long since that's been a part of everyday life. So I feel like at some point that's really going to come back to the forefront, or that's going to be like the end goal of the series. So I'm really looking forward to this because it's a 5-star prediction. I just hope that I'm not cursed and that I actually enjoy it. A lot of people have enjoyed it, so I feel like if I don't like this book, especially considering I really like the blade itself, then I will know that the problem is me and y'all may need to host an intervention, because if the problem is me, I just really don't know what to do about that. While this doesn't fulfill the prompt that I need for Magical Readathon, it does fulfill a prompt, which is inscription, and this is if I don't think at this point that I'm going to get the extra 3 classes that I need to qualify as a necromancer, but this is one of the 3 that I would need for that, which is inscription, and the prompt for this is to read a book from your like top shelf, as in like your physical top shelf, and my shelves are organized by author name, so Abercrombie is actually the first author on that shelf, so fits the prompt perfectly.
Still haven't met your parents, but we hang with your brother when he could use the company. What shall we do tonight? What if this breaks your little heart in mine? What shall we do tonight? Let's just find out. Pretty blue jeans and me running through.
I'm not just asking you to do this, you know. But it was made clear to Grant during the meeting that if he picked out of the house immediately, like this was the final. Yeah, we've reached the end game.
From another lover, pretty blue jeans and me running through evergreen, running through evergreen, yeah. Pretty blue jeans and me, yeah, she's what I need.
So I am about to film my May TBR, but yesterday morning I received a parcel from Waterstones, and like full disclosure, I really needed to wash my hair yesterday, so there was absolutely no way I was getting my face on camera. But this is a pre-order once again. I feel like the blood gift is out, but aside from that, I have no idea. Oh, could this could be the finished copy of In the Land of Secrets that I ordered? Oops. Oh, I nearly dropped my phone. Yes, it is. So I received this one from the publisher, a finished copy from the publisher last week, but this one is the Waterstones special edition, which is beautiful. Oh my god. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is reading the one that was sent to me by the publisher and keeping this one pristine, and then I'll probably unhaul the standard edition at some point. This has paper in it. Oh, it's my invoice, obviously. Duh. This one is also signed. I'm just sad that there's going to be no more TG Clune special editions with Waterstones. I mean, fair what he's doing, because the service you're getting at Waterstones at the minute is abysmal. I'm still sad about it, you know, like for my own benefit. So once again, this one is TG Clune's new like wholesome fantasy book, and it is about a family of robots, who are being taken care of by a human, and they find an android and kind of like rescue it and reboot it. But the android used to hunt robots, so as soon as it's turned on, I think it sends like this signal that alerts people to this little robot family's location, and somebody gets kidnapped or like taken into custody, and I think the rest of them are trying to get them back. So really, really excited to read this one, because I mean, I've only read House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune, and I now have this, Wolf Song and Under the Whispering Door, that I haven't read yet. I just feel like it takes me a long time to get to standalones, because if I have a standalone versus a sequel, I tend to always pick up the sequel because that's like making progress, even though it doesn't matter realistically. But that's my excuse anyway. So hoping I can pick up some sort of TJ Klune book sometime soon. In terms of reading, that was the thing that I threw on the floor. It was my book. I've started and made a little bit of a dent in Before They Are Hanged. It's coming along slower than I would like. I would like this done by the end of the month ideally, but I'm on page 148, which ain't too bad because I don't feel like I've been doing the read the last couple of days. But this one is really good. It took me about 50-60 pages to get into it and to get into the flow of it again, but I just truly love the humor in this, and I don't really know how to describe like what kind of humor it is other than it works perfectly for me. And y'all know, if somebody describes something as fun or humorous or funny, I run in the other direction, because there's so many ways that humor and like books with levity, like light-hearted reads, can go wrong for me. And in this instance, like, it's done perfectly. The only other funny book I could say is, well, there's the Georgia Nicholson series that I love like from when I was a kid, so I feel like that doesn't count. But aside from that, the only other like books that I can say that are funny that I really love is the Brown Sisters series by Talia Hibbert. So it's definitely a hit for me in that regard. I guess I could, like, in one scene Logan is talking about how stealthy he is, and he's like, the one thing they say about Logan Nine Fingers is that he's super stealthy, and then he like trips over a wall, rolls down a hill through a bunch of bushes, lands on his bad ankle and cries out. So it's that, I guess it's that kind of thing, but I'm having a really good time with it. I do feel like, though it's slow going in terms of, I feel like we're not starting again, but the characters are in a different location than they were in book one, and they're also separated again, so it's kind of like establishing them in this new location. So instead of like feeling like we're having a lot of progression from the off, it feels like we're starting a story again, but we know the characters, I guess. So I'm excited to start seeing things come together and like things to get moving plot wise in here. But hopefully, like I said, I will have this done still by the end of the month. And I do have that Patreon readathon that's starting tomorrow. It's nearly Friday, and I do want to read more than this. I would like to get in a couple more books. My eternal optimism needs to stop. Like, I do this, I'm about to film a TBR, and once again I feel like I'm gonna say, oh, I'm gonna read these 7 books. I'm not, but I feel like I am. Like, I feel like I can read 5,000-6,000 pages in a month, even though that's literally never happened. So I don't know where my optimism is coming from, but I feel like I need to tone it down a little bit.
Absent thought, maybe I should take you up on that ride, 'cause I'm out of my mind. And it's a little too late, there's just enough time. If we let it all out, could I swallow my pride?
Good morning. It is the day of the Buffy candle launch, and I am unprepared, which I was gonna say as usual. Last time I was actually really organized for last month's restock, and to be fair, I have done all of the Buffy candles. It's just any other candle that's being restocked with them that I haven't done. So I'm gonna crack on with that now. I'll start with getting all of the tops evened out on these ones, and then I think we're restocking House of Sky and Breath alongside these this time, just because that's what I felt like doing. We do have the 24-hour Patreon readathon starting today as well at 7 p.m, which is also the time of the restock, so I also didn't plan that out well, but I think I'm just going to start sprints half an hour later than I normally would at 7:30. But yeah, wish me luck. That is my plan for this Friday. And then I'm so excited, actually. This vlog is obviously going to end at the end of the month, which is Sunday, but my birthday next Friday. Don't know if I've mentioned it. I have mentioned it a lot just because, like, not because I'm like going on about my birthday, just because it's relevant to like plans and stuff. But anyway, it's my birthday next week, so it's also bank holiday weekend, so I actually only have 2 working days next week, which I'm really excited about. I just need to get through this. I need to get through all of these candles, get this sorted, and then it's plain sailing now until like the week after my birthday.
I should just walk home, but we're both scared of being alone. And that's how you throw it all away in a small town. Everybody's talking 'cause they know now. Everybody's talking 'cause they know now. And it's a slow burn, playing in your mind like a rerun. I've been trying to hide it, but I can't run from the way I feel when you're next to me. Quiet type said it's a bad time. I tried to call back at your mom on the line. Is it just me? I hate how this feels to have to be fake, but the fake feels so real. Yes, I should have known that. Never call me back. That's how we throw it on away in a small town.
Good evening, guys. I'm just about to start setting up for our 24-hour readathon. The candle launch has just happened, very successful. All of the bundles I restocked are gone. There are some still single candles like as I'm filming this, but we're only like 15 minutes into the restock, so I can't promise that they're still going to be there by the time you see this, but maybe if you want to check it out. First off, can we appreciate the duality of the false eyelashes and the Pooh Bear onesie? Like, get yourself a girl who can do both. But I was just trying these on because I ordered magnetic lashes because I'm going out for my birthday next week, and it's been a long time since I wore false lashes, so I thought I'd give them a try. Obviously I'm not really dressed for it, but I mean, I feel like I did good. I realized as soon as I started putting them on that I haven't put false lashes on since I've had acrylic nails, so that was a struggle, but I feel like I've done all right, although I know I can feel that this one is not on right at all. I'm so excited for my birthday as well. I've finished, like, over the last couple of days, I've finished like booking bits for it, so it's like, it's a night out. We're gonna be very much not sober, but we're also doing crazy golf and we're going to a couple of gaming bars as well, so it's like exactly my vibe. So like really cool themed cocktails and games. It's gonna be great. I'm so hyped. But the reason why I'm here is because my aim for tonight, I don't actually have before they are hanged, but I'm aiming to get to page 350-ish of that. I'm currently somewhere around page 250, but I also need to finish my magical readathon career, so I'm aiming to do that tonight as well. And I am going to be using, you may have seen this a couple of weeks ago, Children of the Whales volume 11 for the final prompt, which I think is elemental studies, and the prompt for that is to read a book with flowers on the cover. So this is a manga series. It's rated as older teen, but in this one we are following a young boy called Chikuro, who is the archivist on the Mud Whale, which is this like floating island that floats along on the sea of sand. And the people of the Mud Whale are very isolated and they don't know the world, like, or anything about the world outside of their community. So one day when they are scouting an island that they pass for supplies, they come across a young girl and the whole world is thrown open essentially, and they have to confront some hard truths about why they are on this island and what this island actually is. So these volumes are very hit or miss for me. They tend to range between, a couple of volumes have been 5 stars, but they tend to be 3 or 4. There are like quite a few, because this is, I think, going to be 22 volumes in total. The 22nd volume has either just been released or it's coming out very soon, and I think it's ending sometime soon or has just ended. But there are a lot of filler installments in here, so essentially I really like the ones that push the plot, but the filler ones aren't so fun, so I don't know which one of those this is going to be. I love the art style in here, which is what drew me to it originally, but there are content warnings in here for things like gore, murder, like massacres and that kind of thing, which I feel like you wouldn't expect from it. So my plan is to, I guess I am starting sprints a little bit later because of the restock, but I think my plan is to read before they are hanged for a couple of hours, maybe till around 9:30, switch over and read this, and then go back to before they are hanged, unless of course I just generally roll a double and I'm forced to switch because they are going to be dice sprints. Is this hanging off as much as I feel like it is? It is, isn't it? I can't even, I don't have my glasses on, so I can't actually see. So I have 15 minutes left of our final sprint of the evening. It is 25 to 12, but I just finished Children of the Whales volume 11 and it's a 3 from me. And I don't think that this series is bad, but I do feel like I'm very close to DNF in this one. I really like the depth and complexity of the world. I adore the art style in here, but I'm just not feeling a connection to it like I was in the first few volumes. And I actually don't necessarily think that it's an issue with the series as much as it's an issue with me and the kind of series that I like. Like, we've discussed how I don't like paranormal series generally, and one of the reasons for that is that they feel quite episodic, because there are generally a lot, like the Black Dagger Brotherhood. How many books do we have? 20 something. Suki Stackhouse, 12, 13, somewhere around that. The Anita Blake series, once again 20 something. I feel like they're episodic and the installments are written for the sake of being written, and they'll just go on forever and ever until something brings it to an end, which is generally why I don't like series like that. And I feel like that translates to this. While it's a completely different genre, a completely different medium, it's still a very long series, and I don't know whether it's my attention span or whether it is the nature of these series, and that they do have filler installments, and it's not so much like, it's definitely journey over destination always, but there still has to be a destination for me. I can enjoy the journey as long as I know that there's a destination. And while this feels different in that I do feel like there is a destination here, the journey isn't the most enjoyable because I feel like we're going up and down like this constantly. Like, this was one that pushed the plot, but because of the slower times in this series where I have lost a little bit of interest, I don't feel like I can enjoy this or like these plot pushing installments as much as I previously would have, because of how long it's taken me to get to this point in the series, because of the pacing dipping up and down consistently. So while this is complex and I do really enjoy that, I'm not enjoying the plot reveals as much as I would, because I don't remember the finer points of this anymore because of the length of time it's taken me to get this far in the series. So while I do think it's decent, I'm not really enjoying it as much as I used to. And so like, I don't want to DNF because it isn't bad, and I'm still enjoying it to a degree, but like, I feel like logically, if I think about it now, like, yes, I want to know how this series ends, but if through like happenstance I never ever picked up another volume of this manga series, I don't think I would be like distraught about it or anything. The thing is as well is I want to continue because I'm 12 volumes in, or like right now I'm 11 volumes. I've read 11 volumes. I still have 11 to go, guys. I'm only halfway. So it's like, do I see this as an 11 volume investment, or do I finish here and like consider it 11 volumes that I haven't spent time on? I could then spend time on something that I enjoy more. I don't know, but I'll probably definitely read volume 12 because I own it. If manga wasn't so expensive, like if I wasn't paying £9 per volume and I would have to get another 11 volumes, then I feel like I would see it out, because I am interested in the resolution of the plot and I do enjoy it to a degree. But I don't know, I guess we'll see what happens. But yeah, this was 3 stars. My career is now done for Magical Readathon. This one was for elemental studies. The prompt was to read a book with flowers on the cover, and I haven't actually worked this out for Realmathon, but I do think I did it during Peace Talks weekend, which is when I first intended to read this, and I think I worked out that it's like 19 points for Enya, which isn't a lot. The points are averaged per person, not per book that each person reads, I believe. So 19 it's 19 points that I didn't have like an hour ago, so there's that, I guess. But yeah, I've also actually read quite a bit. I think I've read about 70 pages of Before They Are Hanged during sprints. Really enjoying this now. I wish I knew where the series was going, because I feel at this point I'm like bang on halfway through the series and I don't know what the end game of this series is yet, which is concerning me a little bit, because this is just a trilogy with 3 like 500 to 600-ish page books. So I feel at this point I would expect to know what the end game is. So I am hoping that that comes clear towards the end. But like, I love Logan so much, and the relationship that he's developing with another character in here, and with all of the characters actually that he's currently traveling with. He's just a stand-up guy and I really like him. I feel like he's stepping into like a brother or father kind of role, as to everyone, not as in like a bond with one specific character, but there is one character that I'm really enjoying that with, and we have these found family elements coming in that I'm really enjoying. So yeah, this one is going very well. I'm going to read for the next 10 minutes and maybe read a little bit in bed, although maybe not, because Curtis has to get up early in the morning, so it depends whether he is asleep by the time I get up there or not. But I'm very excited to continue on with this one. And then tomorrow, my main priority I think is going to be getting to around page 450 in this, but I may pick up something else as well. So I am very impatiently waiting for Curtis to get back from his Yu-Gi-Oh tournament so that we can order takeout, but the 24-hour readathon has ended, so I thought I would just come and briefly fill you in on my progress since I checked in with you guys after sprints last night. The most exciting thing is that I did actually hit my page goal on Before They Are Hanged, so I'm currently on page 464, and my aim was to get 450 pages in, but like my precise aim, I guess, was page 469, because that leaves me with exactly 100 pages for tomorrow. And I am so invested in this now. I'm so excited to continue. I am a little bit concerned though, because it feels like in all of the character perspectives, they've kind of reached a climax and then started to come back down the other side of it. So it feels almost as if the book could be ending here, which has me a little bit worried about the last 100 pages of this book, because I feel like every character has resolved the plot that they've been involved in this book. So where's the next 100 pages going? I'll find out tomorrow. But aside from that, we did roll one set of doubles. So I did start The Intimacy Experiment by Readathon, which ideally I wanted to finish over this 24-hour period, but I knew that that was a stretch goal and it was likely not going to happen. This one, I do have it in for a magical readathon prompt, which is for astronomy. And the prompt for that one is to read a book with 2 E's in the title, or at least 2 E's in the title. This, the likelihood is that I'm not going to be finishing this tomorrow and that it'll end up going into like my books for May, so it won't count for magical readathon. But just in case, I thought I may as well include it for some sort of prompt. The reason that I'm reading this one is that it is the Literature Book Club pick for May, which is a romance book club that is created by the lovely Steph, and I'm actually a co-host for April. So the live show is going to be on the 8th of May, which is the day after this one. So as you can see, I'm being sensible and getting through my early May book club obligations, but I'm only 43 pages into this one, so I don't really have too much to say about it yet. It's about an ex-porn star that has a like sex positive startup and a guy who is a rabbi of a synagogue, and he wants to get more people into the synagogue. So he asks her, like, she's struggling to find in-person teaching opportunities because obviously like everybody's scared of talking about sex, and he is trying to get younger people into the synagogue. So he hires her to run like a 6-week course on modern intimacy. And yeah, that's just based on the synopsis and also kind of where I'm up to in the plot, where he's just asked her and they've kind of negotiated the deal. And all I really have to say about it at the minute is that the writing is kind of chick-lit-y, which is putting me off. But saying that, both The Hating Game and The Love Hypothesis have like a kind of particular writing style that I didn't love when I first started off reading them. So the fact that I'm not loving the writing style could end up being a positive, as I'm assuming at some point I'll kind of get used to it and it won't be bothering me as much. But yeah, that's where I'm up to. We'll see how I get on with this. This isn't a priority. I'm quite happy to finish that early next week. Obviously, because it's only a 300-page romance as well, I'm not particularly worried about not having it done in the first 4 days of May. But this one, fingers crossed I get it done, just because I would like to have this one included in April and have it count towards magical readathon and Realmathon.
Everybody talking 'cause they know. And it's a slow burn, playing in your mind like a rerun. I've been trying to hide it, but I can't run from the way I feel when you're next to me.
Good morning. If you can hear any kind of noise, I guess, I am currently nannying my printer. I'm printing all of the labels I need to start packing all of the orders that are going to be going out over the next couple of days for the restock that happened. I know actually I said to you guys in the minute when I filmed the update that I did on Friday, I was like, at the minute things are still in stock. There are no Buffy candles left in stock, but if you want House of Sky and Breath candles, they are still in stock. I still have a few of those left. Once again, by the time you're watching this, maybe not, but that's where we're at right now. So I'm here pretty much to see this vlog out and also to wrap up April for you guys in terms of my participation in Magical Readathon and Realmathon. So first up, last night in bed, I did finish Before They Are Hanged, and I am very happy to report that I really enjoyed this one. So we started the month on a high and we ended the month on a high. This is actually my favorite book of the month, although I did give Love theoretically 5 stars, and this one is very much teetering on the cusp of a 5. It's like, if I was being pedantic about it, which my printer's run out of paper. If I was being pedantic about it, I would give it a 4.5 star rating, but I just don't typically give half stars. So it is in at a 5, but it's not like, oh my god, this is my new favorite book ever kind of 5. This is a very strong book. There is nothing particularly wrong with it kind of 5, you know? I just don't have that buzzy feeling, which I've spoken about before. You know that feeling when you know that a book is like amazing, but I really did love it. So this shocked me a little bit at the end. There were no like massive things that happened that took me by surprise, but something that I really like about this is the way that Joe Abercrombie writes war and battle, because a big theme throughout this book is like grey morality, and so all of our main characters kind of have something about them that means that they could never be like your flawless hero kind of character, because they all have at least one big personality flaw. And something that I really like about the way that Joe Abercrombie writes battle is that he doesn't make out like the main characters are doing a good thing by killing people. He writes it in a way where like you'll have people begging for their lives, you'll have the characters murdering people, and like they don't want to, but they like switch their feelings off to be able to get through it. I think the reason why I enjoyed the way that he wrote that so much is that it felt very kind of realistic. Like he's not giving any illusions that the main characters are good people, and that doesn't mean that they're bad people, but I think it very much shows the reality of humanity, I guess, instead of this like pretty picture thing that we have in books typically, where the hero is the hero and never does anything wrong. And it's like, well, no, everybody kind of like messes up, especially when it comes into situations with war. Like the people on the front lines are the people that very much have very little to do with the actual conflict. They're just there because they've been ordered to be. So the people who typically do die in these settings are just like your average everyday people that don't necessarily have any kind of grudge against the person that they're like trying to kill. And that extended to the way that casualties were described in here. There is one kind of scene that happens towards the end that was written in a way that shocked me, even though I wasn't like necessarily emotionally impacted by the outcome. The way that it was written I thought was very, very good. I feel like I do finally know where this series is going, and it is very much to do, well actually, is it to do with the return of magic? Potentially. Is it to do with war? Yes, but my favorite thing about the plot of this is that it's actually to do with stuff that happens in the past. So one of my favorite kind of fantasy tropes, I don't really know if there's a name for it, but it's when the plot very much hinges on the historical and like legendary figures of the world. So we have to dive into the past and all of these like war heroes and stuff, and like the ancient mages and the ancient kings, and the plot of this is very much hinging on that kind of thing, or what I'm gathering the end game of the series is going to be is very much dependent on some historical figures, some of which we do have in present day in this world. So I'm really enjoying this, and I think the reason why it is teetering on that 4 to 5 star, because even though I didn't have that buzzy like instant, oh my god, this is my new favorite, I cannot fault the writing in here at all. I love it, and I really like especially love Joe Abercrombie's humor, because humor is something that is so easy to be done badly in my opinion. Not as like a general rule, but like from my perspective, it's so easy for me to dislike humor in books. So I just really love that the way that Joe Abercrombie, like the humor in these books really is a hit with me. So this one was a great way to end the month, and also I'm ahead for Catch Up Book Club. I didn't fall behind, and I am not only surprised about that, but I'm very happy about that. So for Magical Readathon, this one was for the inscription class, and the prompt for that was to read a book from your highest shelf. And for Realmathon, this one got me 43 points for Enya. So because I'm not going to do it in my wrap up, I am just going to give you a recap, I guess, of my readathon progress throughout the month of April. So for Magical Readathon, I managed to pass 8 classes in total, because I read 8 books and all of them counted for a class. I got all of the classes that I needed for Demonologist, so that is going to be the career that I'm pursuing into August as well. I did not get all of the classes that I needed for Necromancer, so like last year, I will not be continuing with the Necromancer career track. I was too short on that. So I got all of the Demonologist classes and then 2 extra, which were Inscription and Artificery. And for Realmathon, I managed to rack up 315 points for Enya, and I attacked for a total of 83 points to different teams. So is that I think that might be my printing done. That was April. This is the end of the weekly vlogs for now. So do let me know down in the comments if you've enjoyed the weekly vlogs that we've had in April, because it has been a while I do weekly style vlogging. It's been a while since I've actually been posting them on the same day every single week, so let me know if you've enjoyed that. Thank you so much to G from Book Roast for creating Magical Readathon, which is my favorite readathon of all time. I had a great time as always. And also a big thank you to Cassidy for creating Realmathon and also asking me to host. Next week's vlog is going to be, it's going to be a little bit longer than a week, but it is going to be the same kind of style as a weekly vlog. So if you have enjoyed these weekly vlogs, do stay tuned. You'll be waiting a little bit longer for the next one, but it is coming. And it's also my birthday week, which I'm very excited excited about it. I'm super hyped. I'm so glad it's this week and I'm in such a good mood about it. But that is it for this vlog and that is it for April, guys. So I do hope you've enjoyed this vlog if you made it this far. If you have, please don't forget to like if you liked it and subscribe if you wanna. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye!
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you're go when nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.